Please subscribe.
The 2020 Jaguar XE has put on new blinders. The interests for diesel economy and supercharged V6 execution consistently were at the edges of its gifts. For 2020, they're no longer of any concern. With the 2020 Z, Jaguar centers around turbo-4 motors, astutely tuned ride and taking care of, a superb guarantee and support plan, and a somewhat hotter inside. We give it a 6.4 out of 10. The current year's Z doesn't wander excessively a long way from the BMW-driven standard in sport car style. The LED headlights are new and trim, the LED tail lights have been leveled at the base, and the R-Dynamic trim bundles cuts metallic and work trim to the proportional body. It's great game vehicle, stem to harsh, we simply wish Jaguar would rifle through its own wardrobe for progressively inside style. It's a plain work environment, more harsh than even BMW's most recent cockpit structures. As it's streamlined to turbo-4 force alone, Jaguar's kept two force levels that keep the Z in the chase. Base CS vehicles have 247 pull, while R-Dynamics have 296 horsepower, for 0 to 60 miles per hour times that section the 6.0 second imprint. In a state of harmony with a freshly responsive 8-speed programmed and back or all-wheel drive, the 2020 Z's powertrain stays a quality, however its ride and taking care of legitimacy more consideration. More permeable than a 3er, stronger than a Weeble-Gummibear half-breed, the Z knows we're straight ahead untruths and realizes that apprehensive and skittish in rapid bends is definitely not a decent look. Certainly, it could utilize a greater rearward sitting arrangement, yet then it'd be a XF, and the 2020 Jaguar Z admissions better for the two travelers who truly tally, the ones in front. Grippy sports seats don't overwhelm travelers in space, without a doubt, however the casing-like lodge fits the mission here. It's harder to get into the rearward sitting arrangement, however the space is satisfactory for grown-ups, and the Z's trunk is sensibly large. No accident test information has ever been accumulated for the Z, however programmed crisis braking now is standard, and Jaguar sells versatile journey control and an encompass C-camera framework as side dishes. The base $40,895-2020 vehicle gets calfskin upholstery, a 10.3-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto similarity, 18-inch haggles seasoned tires, power front seats, and a sunroof. Choices incorporate route, a second touchscreen for atmosphere controls, 825-watt Meridian sound, warmed and cooled front seats, warmed back seats, a back camera reflect, all-wheel drive, and the R-Dynamic trim bundle. At the point when Jaguar portrayed its minimal extravagance car, it didn't wander excessively a long way from the layout recognizable for a considerable length of time. The longish nose, the shortish deck, it's each of the attribute to an age of game vehicles, and however it's subordinate, it's definite well. We give the Z a 6 for styling, with an additional point for its body. The show of Jaguar's past has left the studio. The 2020 Z makes a special effort to imitate the 3 Series, down to the delicate flair of its wheel wells and the firmly tucked backside. It's exquisite, it's strong, however the entire game car multiverse has combined on a similar outline, and it's hard to recognize the Z from a Model 3 or a BMW 3er. We'll hand it to Jaguar that the Z's extents are maybe better and its subtleties better drawn. There's no history to bow down to, so its LED headlights take an enjoyment hockey stick edge, and its taillights level out into beat waveforms. R-Dynamics turn the style dial and indent with dull work trim and brushed metallic bits. We miss the old ideas of British extravagance progressively inside. This year, Jaguars cleaned the lodge with better materials that spread hard plastic with milder synthetics, with an auxiliary advanced showcase for atmosphere controls, with another move switch that replaces the old Star Trek-ish transmission puck. The Z's quiet lodge has the control unit realness of a vintage 2010s game car, however it does not have the warm and woolly seats of a Range Rover Velar, or the pretty blends of encompassing light and wood trim that grace the old XF vehicle. It's a British feeling of British extravagance, however wraps up of the world needs something increasingly retrograde? Panther has stripped the V6 and turbo diesel powertrains from the 2020 Z's hymn book, however despite everything it murmurs sweetly behind the twin forces of a turbo 4 and a well-tuned suspension. We give the most recent Z a 7 for execution. There's only one motor in the 2020 Z, however it's offered in 2 yield levels. The equivalent 2.0-liter turbo 4 from the past Z returns, and in the ZSP 250 it's evaluated at 247 horsepower, which it comes to at 5,500 revolutions per minute. Pinnacle torque of 269 pound-feet lands at 1,300 revolutions per minute and holds through 4,500 revolutions per minute. In the same way as other of the Turbo 4s and minimized extravagance vehicles, the Jag motor is well tuned to convey its capacity and doesn't sound stressed as it goes after redline. Puma guarantees 0 to 60 miles per hour runs of 6.2 seconds, and points of confinement top speed to 120 miles per hour. In the uprated form found in the ZR Dynamic S, the Turbo 4 produces 296 horsepower and 295 pounds-to-foot of torque, arrives at 60 miles per hour in 5.4 seconds and a 120 mile per hour top end. Every one of those figures square with pioneers like the C-Class and 3 Series and A4, and the Z's control weight ranges from 3,385 to 3,560 pounds like them, from base back drive structure to completely stacked AWD trim. All Z vehicles get a deftly modified 8-speed programmed with accessible or move controls. The previous rotating transmission handle on the rear is gone, swapped out for a stick-style move switch that indicates execution superior to anything a rheostat-like handle. The transmission holds gears when its sport mode is chosen. The Z likewise has drive modes from comfort to eco, to rain/ice/snow, to dynamic, which remap move focuses, throttle reaction, and directing weight. Panther Z ride and dealing with. With minor retuning and the disposal of some base tires, the Z's ride and taking care of holds its mindful appeal. The body's made out of lighter weight aluminum, as is the suspension, the guiding's by electric engine. It's everything incorporated into a bundle that bests vehicles like the Greater 3er for generally feel and particularly, ride comfort. The Z hasn't lost the remarkable directing feel, even with its base haggle bundle upsized to 18s. The controlling's not overburdened with fake weight, in any event, when taken advantage of sport mode on the lace of support-mounted catches. The elegant and liquid suspension feel still separates this from progressively weak rides. Puma's trademark ride quality decades back was a wellspring of pride. It's solidified significantly, however, in the organization of German and Japanese iron. The ride's honored with more consistency and better retention, particularly when fitted with the versatile dampers that can be requested in a pack alongside driver programmable modes, execution brakes, red calipers and a decklit spoiler. We'd put a bullet on the 20-inch Haggles tires walled off on our dynamic vehicles, which we've driven in France, however not on some less lenient streets in America. The Z may look an excessive amount of like a 3 Series, however it's no transgression at all that it handles just as one. While Jaguars revived the Z under the skin and at its nose, the Traveler in extra room has continued as before. It's game car cozy inside, without a doubt preferable in front for travelers over and back, however size suitable. We give it a 6 for solace and quality. At 184.2 inches long in general, the 2020 Z rides on a 111.6-inch wheelbase. It's spun from a similar design as the more XF car, however the two are comparative in front seat space and backing. Like the vehicles it takes in its immediate point, C-Class and 3 Series, the Z realizes that a firm, well-reinforced seat prompts drivers up for an additionally captivating encounter. The Z has all the pad it needs, regardless of whether it's over the shoulders, under the legs, or clamped at the abdomen. They're a pleasant supplement to the vehicle's ride and taking care of ability, and from their fundamental 12-way power change they can be optioned up to 16-way modification and warming and cooling. We wouldn't consider the space that encompasses them extensive, however the Z doesn't feel restricting, despite the fact that the rear has grown a shifter in the spot of the low-lying transmission puck. The Z's secondary lounge presents to a greater extent attest to tall travelers. Room to breathe hits the imprint, it's 35.0 inches, yet the back entryways have generally little openings at their base. The slide-in can be progressively troublesome, and there's not a tremendous spread of headroom, however a 6-foot-tall grown-up can sit behind themselves. The Z's trunk quantifies a piece on the little side at 14.5 cubic feet, yet little things stockpiling in the vehicle is better and the back seats overlap down for bigger extra room. A few weaknesses spot the lodge: power windows switches sit over the entryway boards, while the lock switch sits beneath. The Z's all the more squeezing concern is, notwithstanding higher grade materials inside, the lodge is still plain by any standard, particularly the high one set by pre-Z Jags. Neither the NHTSA nor the FS has ever crash-tried a Jaguar XE, and we don't expect they will in this changed structure, either. We leave it without a security score, until that changes. With the 2020 updates, Jaguar's made significantly more security hardware standard. All models presently have front and back stopping sensors and dynamic path control, just as programmed crisis braking. On the alternatives list, purchasers will discover versatile journey control, a head-up show, vulnerable side screens, an Encompass C camera framework, and programmed lead help, which directs the vehicle into a parallel or opposite spot while the driver works the throttle and brakes. We'll refresh this segment if any accident tests are performed. Puma sells the 2020 Z vehicle in two adaptations. There's a ZS vehicle with 247 horsepower. It costs $40,895 in back-drive structure, and $42,895 with all-wheel drive. The aerodynamic trim pack includes gear and trim and expenses $47,290. We give the 2020 J